Okay, good afternoon, good day class. I want to speak today about shipboard management. Now, when we look at shipboard management, what is our objective? Can we go to the next slide? Yeah, so the rationale is, why do we need to know about shipboard management? Because we need to know how we manage the shipping activity and how do we manage to ensure that the shipping company follow the rule and regulations. As you know, shipping has many rules and regulations which we will have to comply. Okay, so these are the objectives of the topic. To understand the role and skill set of a ship manager. Who is a ship manager? Ship manager is a person who is involved in managing the ship. As you know, shipping is a very technical and high risk operation. So the ship manager must know all the risks involved and how to manage these risks. To manage those risks, the industry or the IMO and ILO have provided what we call the 4 pillars for the shipping industry. They are the STCW, the SOLAS, the MARPOL and the MLC. Next. So these are, can you go back here? These are the 4 pillars: SOLAS, STCW, MARPOL and MLC. What is SOLAS? It is safety of life at sea. The number one issue at sea is to save people, to save lives. Number 2 is standard of training for watchkeeper. The beauty of your industry is that globally with 160 countries and over 50,000 ships, the same training standard is applied. Whether you are studying in Thailand or whether you are in India or whether you are in US, the training process will remain the same, the course curriculum will remain the same. The third is, today very important, is to protect the environment. As you know, the ship can have potential hazards to pollute the sea with the oil, maybe pollute the air through the emissions. So how do we control it? We have MARPOL which has 6 annexes, and these annexes as a shipping company we will have to comply with. Right. The last one is not a IMO convention, it is what we call the ILO convention called the Maritime Labour Convention, which looks after the welfare of seafarer, the living conditions on board, the kind of food they eat, the kind of welfare system which is provided to them. Next please. Okay, now looking into the course module, these are the various topics we will discuss. Today I will only discuss introduction to the shipping industry, and later on we will discuss about the role of ship manager, the skill set of ship manager, the maritime legislation, the 4 pillars of quality shipping, ISM, ISPS code, postal control, maritime certification, ship type and their operation, introduction to cargo calculation and case study. Next please. Okay. Somebody said shipping is the lifeblood of world economy, because today whatever you wear is not produced in your country, it could be produced in a different country. Today China is a big hub of, we call the global factory. All the goods are produced in China, are shipped everywhere. But these goods are not carried by a plane because it is not cost effective. So we use ships, because ships are more user friendly or more economical. The cost of per ton unit of shipping a container from Asia to Europe is maybe $2,000. But if you ship this container through an airplane, the cost is maybe 10 times more. That's why we say that shipping is the most cost effective way, and 90% of your global trade, actually the current figures are 80%. 80% of the trade is happening through ships. And do you have any idea of how much cargo is shipped every year? It is more than 10 billion tons. And out of which China contributes to 10% of this trade. So you can imagine how much export China is doing. And I will also say that shipping is a thermometer. If you want to see how the world economy is doing, you will know from ships. If the ships are busy, the freight rate is good, that means the global economy is doing well. But today, if you see, there is a war between US and China, a tariff war, a trade war. So who is suffering? The trade is suffering, and in turn the shipping companies are suffering because there is not much cargo. The cargo is there, but it is getting cancelled because of the trade war. In my working experience, I have witnessed the Iran-Iraq war. During that time, many ships could not go to the Persian Gulf area because of the war, and if they were going, they were getting damaged or hit by missiles. And this was again hitting the trade. So I would also say that if there is global peace, if there is peace and harmony between countries, the shipping does better because there is more less risk involved. Next please. Now world is very much connected. Today if you see, you are sitting in Thailand, you can speak to anybody in any part of the world. When I was sailing, we used to have satellite phone. Before satellite phone, we had Morse code. Da. You know, there was no email. Today you can do WhatsApp, you can do everything. And this connectivity has caused a lot of revolution. You see, all these countries, if you see, they are connected through the maritime sea routes. If you are loading a cargo in Thailand, the ship is going via the Red Sea, via the Suez Canal, into the Mediterranean, and then through the Straits of Gibraltar to Europe or UK. Now, the question you will ask me is that who controls the natural waterway? Who controls the sea? The sea is not a territory of anybody except, like you have in your house the boundary wall. Each country has 12 miles of area which is called the territorial waters. So in Thailand, I cannot come into your territorial water if you don't want me to come. That is your boundary. Then you have something called the exclusive economic zone, which is 200 nautical miles. That means from the Thailand coast outside 200 nautical miles, it is the Thai area to do fishing, farming, mining, whatever has to be done. Can you tell me which is the most busy port in the world? Busy port. Busy. Which is the most busiest port in the world?
Me.
Can you tell me?
Busy of work.
Port. Port. Okay, never mind. The world, one of the busiest port of the world is Shanghai. And the second busiest port is Singapore. Because of the geographical location of Singapore, every day 1,000 ships are passing through this area. So this is how the world today is connected with sea routes, and this is where it becomes a very important role in the global trade to have the sea routes well connected, have good ports in the area. Like in Thailand, you have Lanchapang, you have Martapur, you have Bangkok. So countries can trade easily. Thailand exports a lot of rice, a lot of manufactured goods. Thailand imports a lot of chemicals, a lot of petroleum. You know, so unless there is a good connectivity, you will not have ships calling your port. And what is connectivity? Connectivity means good infrastructure, good roads, the ports have to be deep enough so that big ships can come into your port. Next please. So this is again a very important area we are showing here. There are two important things. One is the Suez Canal and the other one is Panama Canal. These are two man-made canals, not natural canals. Suez Canal is controlled by Egypt, and Panama is controlled by the government of Panama. Now these are two two very strategic important areas, because imagine if you are going from Thailand and the Suez Canal is closed, you have to take all the way down via the Cape of Good Hope and then go to Europe. It is like for you when you are going home, and if the motorway is closed, you may have to take a longer route. Now what happens with the longer route is that your goods don't arrive on time. If the goods don't arrive on time, you lose the commercial value. Like in Songkran time, maybe you want to buy presents, you want to send presents to your friends in Australia, maybe China, maybe Japan. And these goods you are ordering through Amazon or Alibaba. And when you order, the goods are then put in a container and shipped across. But if these canal routes are closed, maybe Panama Canal or Suez Canal, the goods will take longer. If the goods take longer, you will lose the value of goods. Like I used to load at one time in America, I used to load in this area. There is a country called Costa Rica. I used to load bananas. And every Friday, I would go to USA, my ship would arrive. Because people do shopping on Saturday, Sunday. So if the bananas arrive on time on Saturday, people can buy. If the bananas don't arrive on time or are damaged because of some other issues, then you lose the market value. So connectivity and market value are very closely associated. Next please. Now if you see the trade in 2017, this is as per the Maritime Transport report, 10.7 billion tons of trade happening. And as I mentioned earlier, 10% of this trade is in China. And we are expecting that this global trade will rise every year by 3%. And you can imagine that by 2050, this will be equivalent to 30 billion tons of cargo. But the challenge here also is that like you have cars now in every Thailand home, I see everybody have 2 cars, 3 cars, 4 cars. You have emission, you have a lot of pollution. So the same, we have more ships, more cargo, but we have more greenhouse gases. So IMO is very seriously considering how to reduce the global greenhouse gases, and we will talk about this in the coming modules. Yes, next. Now this is the trade. You can see in 1970, we were only shipping 1440 million tons of crude oil. Today, if you see 2070, this is 1970, we are shipping over 300,000 million. So you can imagine why it is done, because everybody is consuming hydrocarbon. You need cars, you need gas, you need cooking heaters in the European world. Here in Thailand, you want air conditioning. So how do you run the power plant? You need coal. The coal has to go by ships when the ship needs fuel to run. So you can see today the biggest consumer of hydrocarbons is 2 countries, India and China. And that is why today when there are Iranian sanctions there for oil, the most countries which are concerned is India and China. Then if you see bulk trade, in 1970 only 448 million, today 3,196. If you see other dry cargo, 4,360 million. Today it is, today it was 717 million. Today it is over 4,000 million. So the trade is increasing because there is a demand. If there is no demand, there is no trade. Next please. So again, here you can see the number of containers loaded in each, in 1980 was 102 million ton. And today, if you see the number of containers in the blue column here, it is 1834 million. So you, again, the graph tells you a story that the trade is on the rise. When I started sailing, the container ship was 500 TEU. Today, there are container ships of over 20,000 equivalent units. So the size of the ships are becoming bigger every day. and the technology also has to be increased accordingly. Next please. And here again you can see the exports and import. In Asia we are loading 42%, but we are unloading 61% cargo. That means we are importing more in Asia than we are exporting. Next. These are the different cargoes what ships can carry. They can carry break bulk. What is break bulk? Break bulk is like table, chair, steel. This is break bulk. What is bulk cargoes? Bulk cargoes are cargoes which are like coal, iron ore, bauxite or petroleum products. So shipping actually is into two segments, dry and wet. Dry is petroleum products, dry is coal and grain, while wet is liquid cargoes, petroleum, etc., LNGs. Next. Then, which type of ships are carrying cargo? So more expensive cargoes we carry in container ships. And there are different types of container ships which we'll see in the next slide. Please, next please. You can see there are in 1956 the size of container ship was 500 units. Today we have ships of more than 18,000 units. So I have sailed on a ship which is 15,000 units, and the ship size was over 300 meters long. The fuel consumption was 400 tons per day. So you can imagine the size of the ships. It's like a island, floating island, you know. The brake horsepower of this ship was 90,000. So very, very powerful ships. So if you need big ships, you need bigger ports. It's like when you have a smaller car, your car can stay in your house. But if you have a bigger car, the car cannot go inside the house, you need a bigger house. Next please. Then we come to bulk carriers. These are the ships which are called the donkeys of the trade, because they are engaged in carrying all the food items, all the coal items, all the iron ore items, things, minerals, mines, etc. These are the ships which are involved in carrying these type of cargoes. Now, they again are into different sizes, and we will see it on the next slide. Next please. You can see they are divided into different categories. There is Handymax. Handymax is the maximum size of a ship which has cranes. Then there is Panamax, which is a maximum size of ship which can cross through the Panama Canal. So normal draft at Panama Canal is 12.04, and the ships which cannot pass through Panama Canal are called the Cape size or bigger size ships. Next please. This is what we call Handymax. You can see 5 cargo holds and 4 cranes. These ships are very good. They are very flexible. They can load rice, they can load bulk cargo, they can load steel cargo. I have worked on these type of ships, and the owners who have these type of ships, they can trade the ship in any market, whether it is coal or whether it is steel, whether it is timber, whether it is rice. So very, very flexible ships. Next. These are what they say, these are Panamax 60 to 70 or 80,000. Normally have 7 cargo holds, and the length is about 200 to 230 meters. Draft is about 12 meters. So these are ships which are normally for coal, iron ore. Like example, Australia exports a lot of raw material. Now where is this raw material going from? From Australia it is going to China, or it is going to UK or other places and so on. So these are ships which are loading one side only. From the other side they may go to, like you can load cargo in India, which is iron ore, and then you go to China and discharge iron ore. From China you will go empty to Australia to load coal and maybe come to Thailand. Next please. Then these are Cape size ships, which I said they are up to 200,000 or more. The length is between 230 to 270 meters. They cannot pass through the because of the size of the ship through the Suez Canal or Panama Canal, so they have to go through the Cape of Good Hope. Again, they can only carry big shipments of coal, iron ore, etc. Next. Then these are the tankers. The tankers are engaged in the crude oil or chemicals or gases. Again, very specific trade. So as a crew member also today, if you are sailing on a chemical tanker, it is not easy for you to cross over to LNG because the trade has become so technical today. So there are different categories of ships. It is like for you when you are that you cannot mix one food with another food. You cannot use a crude oil tanker to load chemicals. Very, very different. Next, please. So these are the different ships involved in the trade. There are LNG, which you know because of, and they are liquid natural gas. And lot of countries, including Thailand, you are importing a lot of LNG. Your port in Maktapur, they have a big terminal importing this cargo because LNG gas is supposed to be the most eco-friendly. So then you have the normal crude oil and chemical tanker like whatever the refined products, and then there are also product tankers. Next. This is a typical oil tanker. You can see the deck. It is a flat deck. These are, maybe it's a VLCC, very large crude oil carrier. This is normally loading cargo in Persian Gulf, going to China or Japan. So it's a one-way trade. From Japan you don't bring anything, you just discharge the cargo and you come back again to Persian Gulf. So these are chemical tankers, again smaller size than crude oil but more sophisticated. On one chemical tanker you can load 10-20 different chemicals. There are different tanks, and these tanks are normally aluminium or stainless steel, so that they are corrosive free, they don't get affected by the chemicals. Next. Okay, then these are the ships you will like to go when you have a lot of money. They are the cruise ships. Maybe you like to go from Thailand to maybe America, or maybe from Thailand to Singapore. Then there are also ferries. What are ferries? Ferries are maybe like between two countries, or between the same countries. In Europe, the ferries are very popular because if you see on the backside of the ferries, there is a ramp. So the ramp comes down, the cars can go inside the ship, and you sit in the ship, you sail with the ship from one island to the other. Short voyages, maybe 6 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. But cruise liners are more luxury ships. I call them floating 5-star hotels. The crew on a ship can be up to 2,000 people. The passengers can be 2,000 to 3,000. It is like, imagine, which is the famous 5-star hotel in Thailand? What is the name? Dusitani. Dusitani hotel is floating, and that is a 5-star hotel, but for a cruise ship. But remember, a cruise ship have to be very, very careful because so many people are involved, their lives are involved. You cannot make mistakes. There was a famous case of a ship called Costa Concordia, and this ship had an accident and many, many people died. And you see, when passengers die, all the media attention goes to them. Saying, oh, the captain is very bad and the crew is bad, and it's not like that. In ships, accidents happen in spite of us being careful for various reasons. We will discuss that next slide. Okay, please, next slide. So everybody would like to join one of these ships. Some of my young officers in AMCOL would like to say, always they ask me, can I join a cruise ship? Yes, you can join, but you have to work hard, you have to have good English language, you have to be very, very smart so that people of cruise ship liner can employ you. Next. Then there are special ships. There are ships like when you are going into the ice area in the Arctic region, you have ice breakers, or you have research ships which measuring the water depth, measuring the ocean currents. Then there are offshore industry ships. They are called supply boat. in the oil rigs. They are serving the oil rigs, maybe bringing them water, taking something from the oil rig. So these are called the specialist ships. Next. These are the cargoes which we have already discussed, so it's okay. Okay. Now, this is what are regulations which are, these ships are regulated with. You cannot have a ship of whatever size you like. It's like you cannot build the home, you can build a home whatever size you want, but ships have to be built and to follow what we call SOLAS. What is SOLAS? Safety of life at sea. So the ships, when they are built, must have life-saving appliances, must have lifeboat, must have life jackets, etc. All the regulations with regard to safety are to comply on a ship if it has to go out to sea. Next. The second is for International Convention for Preventing Pollution. What type of pollution can happen? From oil, from chemical, from sewage, from garbage, and from air pollution. And these have been controlled by 6 annexes of International Convention for Pollutions. And this is controlled by flag state administration. Next. Next is International Collision Regulations. When you are driving on the motorway, you follow some rules. When we drive the ships at sea, we have to follow some rules. We cannot drive everywhere or anywhere. We have to follow certain rules and regulations, and that is governed through the Convention on International Regulation for Preventing Collisions at Sea. I am not saying the collisions will not happen. The collisions will still happen, because sometimes people are tired, people are sleepy, people are not paying attention. Then the next convention is road line. What is a road line convention? It sets the limit. In your car, how many people can sit? 5 or 6?
5. Maybe 5.
5. You cannot make 10 people sit, because it is not safe. In the ship also, when we are loading cargo, we can only load to a certain limit. We cannot exceed that limit, because if we exceed that limit, the ship can be fined by the port and may not be allowed to sail. And that convention which governs the loading capability or loading restriction is called the Load Line Convention. Next please. Then we have a famous code after 9/11. We had a lot of maritime security, because imagine if I have a chemical tanker ship and I come and hit into a terminal, and the whole terminal will catch fire. So now the IMO has laid down what we call International Port and Ship Port Facility, International Ship and Port Facility Security Code. So we have to follow certain rules and regulation for people who are coming into the ship or people who are leaving the ship. And the ships also have to maintain certain security levels, and these are 1, 2 and 3, and we will talk that in detail when we come to this topic. Next legal instrument, very important, is called the International Safety Management Code, or the ISM code. This code came into being because there was a ship called Herald of Free Enterprise. Herald of Free Enterprise sailed out of a port in Belgium and overturned, and a lot of people died. And the cause of the death or cause of the accident was human error. What is human error? Poor communication, poor situational awareness, poor leadership, etc. So based on that, IMO came up with a code which every shipping company and ship have to follow. The certain procedures, certain guidelines, that is the ISM code. Right. Next. Okay, we can skip this. Skip. Next. Okay, so to conclude that, I can say that shipping is a very noblest artifacts of hand skill. This research has adopted analytical approach for study of ships' legal instrument, seaborne trade, in order to generate better understanding of development of seaborne trade. Now, what it means is that we can do international trade, but if we don't understand shipping, then this trade can cause a lot of losses and lot of delays and lot of reputation, and the most important, maybe lose life at sea, which we don't want. Thank you.